The over 6 months political logjam in Ondo State appears to have been resolved by President Bola Tinubu, who intervened in the matter at the weekend and asked that status quo be maintained by the feuding parties. In essence, ailing Governor Rotimi Akeredolu retains his seat, while embattled Governor Mr. Lucky Aiyedatiwa will not be removed from office as Akeredolu's loyalists will want it. The presidency on Saturday morning said in a bid to resolve political stability in Ondo State, President Bola Tinubu late on Friday waded into months of long-term crisis between factions loyal to Executive Governor Rotimi Akeredolu and the Deputy Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa. Joining us now on the morning show is Benson, Enikuomehhin, a lawyer, and Fulani, APC stalwart. Both men are from Ondo State in southwestern Nigeria. I'd like to ask you, truthfully, has this crisis been resolved?
It will be a difficult answer to give.
That means it's not been resolved yet.
I have not said so. Because the answer...
You're not confident when I ask you, has the crisis been
resolved?
That's the question. If it's been resolved, like we said there, you
use the word.
Truthfully, yes.
You used the word when you were in your intro that it was alleged to have been resolved. That's what the word you used. Yeah. So when you use such word, you were not definite to say it has been resolved. So asking me, therefore, will be difficult to answer. But I believe what happened with Mr. President is a very strong way forward in the resolution of the matter. If there's a crisis between the wife and the husband that you just came and intervene and say it has been resolved, it will take a while. They will need to bond together. They will need to talk. There are some gray areas that may not have come afore.
What are those gray areas?
I will not know. I was just using the example of a wife, for example. I believe Mr. President did say, from what was reported in the press, that status quo should be maintained. And the question you will ask yourself, what was the status quo before now? That Mr. Governor should be governor cannot be debated because he's the governor of Ondo State. As at now, he's incapacitated to perform the function of his office. That will not so far so detail into saying that he's no longer governor. But because his inability to perform is hampering the activity in the state, a good number of persons, of which I am a party, has said his deputy should act in that capacity as envisaged and pronounced by the Constitution. Not removing the governor, not sacking the aides, but that in the acting capacity, he should function to give directive to Ondo State. Because if there is no governor, if there is no deputy governor to act, who acts? Because these are
Chaos acts.
Chaos acts. Yes, you agree. Therefore, the governor being absent, Section 190, subsection 2 says, in that absence, if that happens within 21 days, the State House of Assembly should or shall, and that's the word, is mandatory, is compulsion, shall declare the deputy governor as acting governor, not as governor, but acting governor. An acting governor is the one that steps in to perform the functions of the governor. I believe Mr. President knew this, and in order to calm the nerves of aggrieved persons in the state, say, please go on and maintain the status quo. Invariably says, Mr. Deputy Governor, don't remove members of ESCO. It is when you have the capacity that you can remove. So there is an implied term in some of these things, but you see, political matters will be solved one way or the other. They will only bow down when a legal position is posited, like the one of the Constitution, that the Deputy Governor should act in this capacity.
It takes me to the key question here about the legality of the intervention by the President. Because the Constitution, you have a copy in front of you there, it's very clear. What we seem to be dealing with, you use the word incapacitation. Yes, Section 189 of the 1999 Constitution talks about what should happen where the governor of a state or the deputy governor finds himself in a situation of permanent incapacity. The governor has been away for more than 6 months. He came back. There has been no cabinet meeting. He has not even returned to Akure. He is alleged to be running the state from his home in Ibadan, in an entirely different jurisdiction. Can a governor run a state by remote control? So now the president says, you're a deputy governor, you remain deputy governor, the governor remains governor, don't change anything. All party ESCO members stay where you are, all appointees stay where you are. So is it legal?
Well, ordinarily, I think the political gladiators in Ondo State got it wrong in taking matters which are exclusively within the jurisdiction of Ondo State to external body. And please mind my words. Now, Mr. President is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Ondo State is a separate entity. It has its own organization. There is the judiciary, there is the executive, there is the legislature. It is not subordinate to the presidency. It's not. But you will also know that in the political environment, there is the political intervention, as it were. And that is where the president, who is the leader of the party in power in Ondo State, will intervene. I believe that what he has done is more of moral adjuration. It's more of counseling. It's more of appealing to them to do the right thing. You guys don't truncate this. Mr. Deputy Governor, you also do this. I believe at the end of the day, the people of Ondo State, particularly the members of the House of Assembly, should go back and read the constitution of what they are supposed to do. Ondo State is in the wilderness. I am a citizen of that state. I had taken part in the political activity of the state before. So I do know that where the governor is absent, actually everything in that state comes to a standstill. Now that the governor is ill, his deputy should be mandated. But Mr. Bati, I can tell you this. This is all about what will happen in 2024. All the persons fighting is their interest. I'm told Mr. Deputy Governor has interest in becoming governor. There are persons in the state, in the members of the ESCO, who are also having interest. So it is these interests that are colliding. That if one of us who are gladiators in this matter becomes acting governor, he may have an edge over us. But it is the law. He is the only one who cannot resign. Every other member of the ESCO who shows interest in the governorship race must resign the appointment when the time comes. The deputy governor cannot resign if he has interest. Ditto for governor.
Well, I understand that Mr. Dele Fulani has joined us. Mr. Fulani, if you can hear us from the Lagos studio, thank you for joining us. Well, we introduced you earlier on as an APC stalwart. Well, we've been discussing the president intervening. Mr. Enikuomehhin says, well, the value is just moral because it's not legal, if I understood him well. But one of the things that transpired at that meeting with the president, 2 meetings were held, was that the deputy governor, Loki Ayedatiwa, was asked to sign an undertaking to be of good behavior going forward. How has he been misbehaving? You are an APC stalwart. Tell us, what bad conduct has he been engaging in that the president had to ask him to sign an undertaking to be of good conduct going forward?
Good morning, Dr. Ruben, and good morning, viewers. You see, before I go into that, I would like to say this. Ondo State, as a subnational, is very strategic and important to Nigeria economic and socio-political milieu. Apart from the fact that the state gave Mr. President 67% percentage of his votes, which is the highest in the country. I think if we were to be WAEC, the state will score B3. The state is also the 5th oil-producing state in Nigeria. So whatever happened in the state, a well-meaning Nigerian, or well-meaning Nigerians, rather, cannot close their eye and pretend it's not of interest to them. To the issue of signing Undertaking, we have to look at some background issues that preceded the Undertaking. The state has been thrown into political turmoil, and the president acted aptly to nip the situation in the bud. The elders in the state, the former SGF, Chief Fulani, and the leader of Afenifere, Pa Ruben Fashoranti, called on the Mr. President last week that Mr. President should intervene in this matter because it is brewing and everything in the state has been put to a halt. Nothing is working. Governance is no governance, as the case may be. Nothing is working in the state. Economic activities was brought to a halt. And we can't continue in that manner. So Mr. President, as the father and the leader of the nation, in his magnanimity, stepped into that matter with precision. And he called both parties, the deputy governor and the governor. He called the party the eighth. In attendance, the deputy governor was there, the speaker, the secretary to the government of Ondo State, and also the chairman of the party in the state were all there, and some state assembly member. Having heard from both sides, the issue, to answer your question straight, the issue of signing Undertaking, the deputy governor is to match his words in writing. Undertaking does not mean you are signing off your tenure in office or you are signing your death sentence. No. He had promised that he's going to share the sword and he's going to work in tandem with what Mr. President has said. And they said, okay, put this into writing. So it's as good as when you make a committer, when you say something and you ask, okay, this thing you have said, put it into writing. That in the state, you are the deputy governor, and we still have the governor. That whatever faction, whoever is trying to brew up crisis in the state, that you are not going to encourage it and all that. So that Undertaking to me is just to match, is a committer that the state will be peaceful and governance will be, the governance will continue as it is expected. So that's it from our own perspective.
Okay, Mr. Delefula, great to have you. I'm going to ask both of you different questions. Number one, for you, I asked the first question from Mr. Benson Enikuomehhin, that are things truly resolved? Because there are still discordant tunes, both parties are daggers drawn, and the loyalists of the governor are saying that it's either they get down the deputy governor, he gets out for them, or nothing. So have things truly been restored? And secondly to you, you are here with the Constitution. Why can't we allow Constitution take its course as regards when somebody can't do the job again? Why can't we allow Constitution take its course? Why are we trying to manage the situation because it suits us and it's become a political imbroglio now? Mr. Fulani, I'll come to you first, and afterwards I'll come to you, sir.
Rufai, thank you very much. You see, the decision of Mr. President was a popular decision. And if you go to Ondo State today, I want to tell you, I'm from the state, and I want to tell you that the decision of Mr. President has been well embraced by well-meaning actors in the states and even everyday people in Ondo State. And talking about, okay, you made mention of maybe there are some factions that are not well pleased with what Mr. President said or something. Yeah, definitely. Some people will disagree. Even if the decision of Mr. President go either way, there will still be disagreement. But the popular thing is, those that have disagreed and all that, is just the microcosm of those that have really embraced the decision of Mr. President. It's well applauded in the states that everybody should share their sword. And what was going to happen in coming days in those states if Mr. President didn't step in, timely, because the issue of the governor even being the deputy governor may not even arise now. The deputy governor even have to, fight for his office, because before Mr. President's intervention, the deputy governor only has an office without power. And that is the fact, that is the truth of the matter. And that deputy governorship, this thing may even slide off his hand. That was what is going to happen by the way of a removal from office. That was what's going to happen in the assembly in coming days. But this has been averted by Mr. President. It has been averted. Remember, in section 188 down to 190, about removal from office of Mr. President and deputy governor, there is a clause there whereby a governor or deputy governor can be removed on matter of gross misconduct. The clause or the issue gross misconduct is so ambiguous. The House, in their wisdom, can determine anything as gross misconduct. So I think for now, what Mr. President has done is the right thing in the right direction, which I personally have applauded, and I congratulate him for that. Now, talking about constitutionality, the issue we have in our hand, because I've looked at it critically. I'm not being learned, but I'm well read. I've looked at that issue very critically, and we've not had issue like this in Nigeria before. We've not had issue like this in Nigeria before. What we had in the past is something close to this. Because we have a situation in the past whereby a president was incapacitated, and at the end of the day, the president passed on. And we also had a situation whereby a president was incapacitated, so to say, and the president came back to office, recovered and came back to office. So these are two issues. Bringing constitutionality into this, I think there are times that roundtable discussion, resolution, peaceful settlement will prevail and create a kind of peaceful and tranquility atmosphere in a political environment rather than enforcing law. Because when you want to enforce law in some political crisis, you may end up causing more harm in the state than providing solution. So I want us to embrace it. And let's even go, if you want to go by the route of that constitution that you said, to me, the governor is around. The governor is around. And the governor, to me, I just believe is resting. Is mortal. Anybody can sick at any time. He was sick, and he transmitted power to the deputy governor as acting governor. Before the expiration of the 90 days, as stipulated by the Constitution, he came back, and the power was transmitted back to him as the governor. And now he's taking a rest. So the issue of either making the deputy governor the acting governor now and all that, I don't think, to me, with the atmosphere in the state, with the political permutation in the state now, I don't think it will be right.
So you're saying the governor is resting, is able to run the state, he can still direct affairs, so you don't think constitutionality is right at this point? Is that what you're saying?
I want to believe if the governor is incapacitated, he will still be lying down in the hospital in Germany. He will not be in Nigeria. So I want to believe so.
So you believe the governor is
and why
well,
he has chosen,
and he has the capacity to run the state. That's what you believe.
He's resting, and I believe he will bounce back.
Please, what do you mean by resting? What is resting? What do you mean by resting?
The governor is resting.
What do you mean by resting,
What I mean by resting is, see, resting. What is? If you rest both connotative and denotative meaning of rest is the same thing. So whatever rest is to use, what I mean. Do you understand? You can take a rest. You can take a rest maybe after you can take a rest. You can have a time off, maybe after a hectic day or a hectic moment. And you now say, okay, please, I want to rest. Or maybe you've recovered from an illness and you still decided to rest. And the essence of resting is this: to avoid people coming to you, because I believe if the governor were to be in Ondo State, I trust Ondo people. They want to see their governor. Okay. They will rush either to the state house in Alagbaka.
So for you are saying the governor is
his home country in.
So that we move on this quickly. You're saying the governor is well and able to do his work. He's just resting, but you've not been able to explain what that rest means. Let me come to you, Mr. Benson Enikuomehhin. The governor is resting, like Mr. Fulani said. That what's your take on all of this, and why is it that constitutionality is not coming to play in all of this?
Well, I like to call a spade and not just implement of agriculture. I had once worked with Mr. Akeredolu, SAN, as a senior special assistant on oil and gas. I was with him for almost a year until I resigned November 30th, 2018. Mr. Akeredolu is an extrovert to the core. If you pinch him, he will reply. We can't be talking about the governor resting, and the governor for almost 3 to 4 months cannot speak to the people of Ondo State. The truth of the matter is this: Mr. Governor is ill. Let that.
There were pictures of other governors that went to see him.
When those governors saw him, ordinarily, when visitors of note come to visit you, you see them off. In that picture, did you see our governor seeing the 4 governors off?
I mean, we don't have the full video.
So that's correct. They should also show us, because that would have been better. 2, when the governors left, they hurriedly entered their bus and went away. They went to see their colleague. It behoved them ordinarily to brief, oh, we saw Mr. Akeredolu, he's doing well. Somebody should have addressed the press.
But that's what they did.
To who?
No, they didn't address the press there, but it was story was
the point is this: the whole thing was muted. We didn't hear what was said. I wish.
Do you have any facts as regards the health of the governor as we speak?
You see,
do you have any empirical facts you want to prove it?
My empirical fact is his inability to come to work. Mr. Rufai, I see you regularly on this program. If for 3-5 months we don't see you, 2 things could happen. It's either you have been removed from this place, or you are indisposed to perform the function of your office. Our governor, like I was trying to establish, is an extrovert person. He will come on here. I'm doing well. Mr. Governor is not feeling too fine. The issue of resting is not the issue. The point we are making is this: intervention of Mr. President, good as it were, but everyone should toe the line of constitutionality. We are not in a banana state. I wish Mr. Governor well. I wish he comes back to his office. But for now, the state must move forward. And he was the one who chose his deputy. We didn't vote for that. That in case I am not around, here is a man who can act in this capacity. Why is everybody afraid of local that you are?
Well, Mr. Enikuomehhin, don't let's keep splitting hairs. You yourself quoted Section 190 earlier on.
Very well.
Section 190 says when the governor goes on vacation, the deputy acts.
That's correct.
So when people go on vacation, they go and rest, right? But the question I have for you, and I have another question
and
for you.
Beyond that, is he unable to perform the function of his office?
Yeah. So the question I have for you, can a governor in Nigeria run a state from any part of Nigeria? Say, for example, the governor of Sokoto State decides to relocate permanently to Abuja. Can he be running Sokoto State from Abuja? Can the governor of Ebonyi come and stay permanently for months in Lagos and claim that he's running Ebonyi State
from Lagos? And nobody sees him.
And nobody sees him. So that, you have to help us unravel that. Mr. Fulani, if you are still with us. Okay, there are other stakeholders. There are other stakeholders in Ondo State. There is the PDP, particularly, that has been speaking up. The PDP Forever Initiative, that's what that group calls itself, says that it has given Governor Akeredolu 72 hours to come out of hiding because his absence is creating a governance problem in Ondo State, and it's the people of Ondo State that are being short-served. And if the president, if the governor does not come out of hiding, the PDP Ondo State is threatening to occupy government house. So what do you say to that? And they are saying also that what happened in Abuja on Friday, the 5-hour meeting with President Tinubu, is just mere window dressing as far as they are concerned. They need a government in this, a governor in the saddle who will be serving the people of Ondo State. Their own interpretation is that the governor is in hiding. Let me start with you first.
Yes, sir. I think each state of the federation have a geographical boundary. Ondo State has its own map. Mr. Akeredolu is not the governor of Ondo State in diaspora. We didn't vote for him in that respect. He is to rule Ondo State. He is not the governor of Ondo State having an Agnes office in Osun or in Oyo. So, simple to your answer, no governor that is the governor of a state will go to another state and be giving order. And the question we should ask ourselves is this: why must he run from his state to another state to be ruling? That's the question to ask.
To rest.
To rest. If he's resting, is it because the government house, which was built as far back as 1976, has become so encumbered with rodents and cockroaches that he cannot have his rest? Please, let's not bastardize the intelligence of Nigerians. Our governor is indisposed. We pray for him to recover. We pray for him to be well. But for now, the state must be run well. And our prayer is simple, that Ondo State need to be led. And I must say this: while the governor was sponsored by APC, as soon as he becomes the governor, he is not the governor of APC. He becomes the governor of Ondo State, though sponsored by APC or any party whatsoever. Therefore, every member of the state should have access to him. The usual executive council meeting, if the governor is resting, do you conduct executive council meeting while the governor is resting? Going to Abuja to hold NEC meeting, will the NEC meeting be held where the governor is resting? When we are to present our budget, the governor is the one who presides over the affairs. Now, will the governor do that while he's resting? What will happen when the governor is to receive visitors from other parts of the world or other parts of the country? Will he be doing that while he's resting? I think we should be mindful of what we say. The days of Yaradua had been rectified by the provision of Section 190, subsection 2. I am not asking for the governor to be removed from office to be impeached. But while he is resting, somebody should take charge and direct us. And when he wakes up from the resting, he can say, "Oh, young man or gentleman, where did you stop this?" Can the chief executive of a bank be ill and then we say the bank must come to a standstill? Nobody does that. Executive Director of Finance or Executive Director of Administration takes over. When he comes back, he meets them and takes over on what has happened, let alone a whole state. Over 4 million people are in the wilderness because somebody is resting. Please, I plead with every stakeholder in Ondo State.
Maybe the caveat to that is to remind you that Governor Akeredolu is a senior advocate of Nigeria. A learned silk.
You see, Mr. Abati, the challenge I have there is this. I told you here's a man I work with. In fact, I was his agent, his returning agent, when he was declared governor in 2016. I was the agent that signed for him and took the result to him. The records are there. I know him too well. He's the man, when such a thing happens like this, he will speak his mind out. Therefore, our governor the resting, whatever language it is given on those states is challenged. And the man is not in a position now to do all the necessary things.
Okay, let's bring in Mr. Dele Fulani. Dele Fulani, if you can hear us from the Lagos studio. Yes. Mr. Enikuomehhin here says there's no such thing called resting. But in any case, I had asked you earlier on about the PDP Freedom Initiative, who gave the governor 72 hours ultimatum and are threatening to occupy government house because they are also stakeholders. And they say whatever happened, the intervention of the president is just mere window dressing. They too are stakeholders in the matter. What do you think?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ruben. The PDP group, to me, I believe they are crying wolf where there is none, because they are partisan. If we were to be a non-partisan group that made that protest, then we would have given credence to it. But coming from PDP, they are opposition, and that's what they are, and that's what they will remain. So whatever they say, I can't waste my time in, as if maybe I'm giving credit to whatever they've said. So we know where they are coming from. And they are partisan. And so we should not pay attention to whatever they are just very few individuals that glued themselves in a small room to issue press release and all that. They don't even have the power to occupy the state. They don't have it. If that statement came from a non-partisan group or APC itself, we say, oh, there's a concern here. Because these are the people that voted for him, and that's the party that promoted him, that sponsored him. So having said that, you made allusion to how can a governor be in a state and rule from another state. It has happened before. It has happened before. And I will remind us, when Governor Mai Mala Buni of Yobe State was made the chairman, the interim chairman of APC, he was practically living in Abuja, ruling Yobe State from Abuja, and heaven did not fall. He was in Abuja. In the party, anytime you want to see him, even matters that affect the states then were brought to the APC secretariat in Abuja because he was always around. So it has happened before. And Mr. Enikuomehhin, in your studio, yes, I'm aware he was former SSA to the governor, and at a point, he resigned. That resignation didn't come voluntarily because he saw the handwriting on the wall when the relationship got outright. He was to be booted out of the office. If he remained as the SSA to Governor Akeredolu today, I believe his position would have been different. His position would have been different from what he's saying. What we are saying here is this. When there is governor, there is deputy governor. When the governor is not around, the deputy continues. The way the issue should be is what Mr. President have said. And I'm not going to add or take away, deduce from what Mr. President has said. The governor should continue his work.
Okay.
See, I'm not going to shy away from the fact that all this is built on succession politics. I must agree to that fact. It's built on succession politics.
Okay,
and because of the succession politics, we also have to be very, very careful.
Okay, Mr. Fulani.
Not to throw the state into
Fulani.
Political turmoil.
Okay, Mr. Fulani, real quickly. Yes, all of this is built on succession politics, but don't the people of Ondo have a right to good governance? And when you said that PDP group should be shushed away, are they not stakeholders in the affairs of the state? You also made an allusion here by saying Mr. Benson Enikuomehhin saw the handwriting on the wall. I would like to ask you, what handwriting did he see on the wall? Quickly, as we wrap up.
Rufai.
Yes.
Rufai.
Yes.
Mr. Enikuomehhin, in the build-up to nomination, to formation of the cabinet, he thought he would have gotten a commissioner. So when he was given SSA, he wasn't happy with the position, with the appointment. He was not happy. And there are other issues that went on that I may not really, for sanity and sanctity, I may not be able to disclose it, on air.
Okay.
And he just have to like ease himself out.
Okay.
In which he told the honorable part because he would have been messed out of the office, and that is the truth of the matter.
Mr.
He didn't get what he bargained for. He
Mr.
wanted to be a commissioner.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Enikuomehhin. You're right to reply to wrap this up.
To see many take care on the wall.
I should think when people come on air like this, they should speak from known facts and not gambling statements. On 2 occasions, and I want this to be on record, I served as Special Assistant to Governor Agabu on policy planning, implementation, and special duties from 2003 to 2017, cum a little bit of 18. In 2018, precisely on the 7th of February, 2018, when I felt that government was not doing what we thought of it, I voluntarily resigned. I was the only person who voluntarily resigned, no indictment, nothing whatsoever. Now, this gentleman did not know what he's talking about. In 2018, the then Deputy Governor, Mr. Agbola Ajayi, Honorable Agbola Ajayi, and a number of persons, and again, here is public, for which I must say this because of what the man has said. The present Secretary to Ondo State Government, Miss Princess Oladuni Odu, and a few others. And I complained, I said, I am not the type that is kept somewhere. I never for once discussed with the governor to say I was interested in the state commissioner. No. In fact, we met at Rockview Hotel in Abuja, himself, myself, and the deputy governor, Mr. Honorable Agbola Ajayi, and unequivocally I told them I was not interested in the state commissionership. On the 16th of April 2017, I went to pay the governor a visit in Government House. When it's unfortunate that
so why did you resign? Real quickly as a wrap.
I left because the government was going the other way around.
What do you mean the other way around?
The part is that the first thing that happened was that the fees, school fees, were just increased astronomically in our universities. Okay. So and a number of things were not happening as we discussed. And I felt I shouldn't add my name to it. Okay. And this was what I wrote. I write to resign my appointment as Senior Special Assistant to the Governor on Oil and Gas. Okay, thanks for the opportunity to serve. It was not issue. Okay. Why is he talking this way?
Thank you so much for your reply. Thank you. Dr.
Even if you wanted to be a commissioner, it's not an offense. If you disagree with governor and you resign, it's not an offense. After all, Suella Braverman just left the cabinet in the UK.
Yeah.
And she says she doesn't agree with the Prime Minister. So it's not you are in good order. Thank you very much for joining us, Dele Fulani, and also Mr. Benson Enikuomehhin. We pray that there will be peace in Ondo State, and it shall be well with Ondo State.